Where's the video? Well, sorry, but I'm gonna be doing an audio only show for this one. Didn't have time to bust out the camera and the tripod and the lighting and the mic and all that stuff, so I'm just doing an audio only one for this one. A lot of great things coming up for the channel. I've been really busy with that. I'm actually purchasing some new equipment, so hopefully you guys will enjoy that. It'll enhance the show that I have right now. Also, I want to apologize about my last show, which I did horribly in. I am the first to say it. I have no excuses. I'm not the type to steamroll over things that I did wrong. I will admit that that was a horrible show. I dropped the ball, and I sincerely apologize to you. Again, anything that I give you, I'm going to do myself. So I had a bad night also. But this is the time to turn it all around. Any better out there, anybody that does fantasy knows exactly what I'm talking about. Sometimes you're hot and sometimes you're not, and I was definitely not on that night. But I'm going to make it up to you, I promise. This is a great event. It looks fantastic. A lot of big names coming up, so hopefully this will be the one to redeem myself with the fans. All right, so everything's going to go down like it usually does. All my bets are going to be based off of $100. It's just easier to calculate. You can divide that into whatever you want. If you're only betting 10s, 50s, 20, 25s, that's completely up to you, but I'm going to base everything off of $100. And each fight that I pick, I'm going to give you the fighter that I think is going to win and how that fight is going to win. Now, take that prop with a grain of salt. Really, when I'm giving the picks, it's really just a fighter win, lose, and then I'm going to, of course, give you the odds. If I do have any props that I'm going to pick or any parlays, I'm going to tell you that at the end of the show. So don't worry too much about fighter A is going to win by TKO, let's say, for example. Don't worry about that TKO too much. Now, if you're feeling confident or if you feel the same way I do, maybe there's a good time to jump on that prop and take that fighter is going to win by TKO. Completely up to you. So on this episode, I have 4 fighters, and again, I do have 1 2-fighter parlay. I'm going to give that to you at the end of the show. So without wasting any more time, let's get right into it. All right, so this is officially UFC on ESPN 1, where I thought that first ESPN card was UFC on ESPN 1, but maybe that was UFC on Fight Night 1. I'm completely confused. I have no idea. I think they're doing it the same way they used to do on Fox Sports. So anyway, we'll call it UFC on ESPN 1, and it's going to be headlined by Francis Ngannou and Cain Velasquez. Also at co-main event, we have James Vick going against Paul Felder. Should be some great fights. Okay, so let's get started. At 115 pounds, we have Alexandra Albu versus Emily Wittmeyer. Albu's coming in as the favorite at a -160. She is 3-0 in her professional career. She's 2 fights deep in the UFC. Her last fight was all the way back in 2017, where she beat Kailin Curran by decision. She's a well-rounded fighter, and I say if she has any strong advantage, she has a higher output than Emily Wittmeyer, so that may play a factor in this fight. Moving on to Emily Wittmeyer, she is a underdog at a +130. She is 3-2 in her professional career. Also 2 fights deep in the UFC, coming off of a win against Jamie Moyle back in July last year. Also a well-rounded fighter. They actually match up pretty well. She's slightly more experienced. Obviously, she has 5 fights in total. Albu has a higher output when she's on the feet. I think if Wittmeyer is going to win, she needs to stay more active than Albu. She needs to pick her apart, beat her up. But after everything's said and done, I like Albu. I think she's going to win by decision. I'm going to take her $160 to make 100. Next fight at 135 pounds, we have Jimmie Rivera versus Aljamain Sterling. Rivera is coming in as the favorite at a -155. He is 22-2 in his professional career. That is a ridiculously good record. Coming off of a win against John Dodson back in September. Except for losing to Marlon Moraes back in June, that was the fight before that, he's been on a huge win streak. He has a slight advantage on the feet as far as volume goes. But with his defense isn't as sharp as Aljamain Sterling, so very curious to see how this is going to go. We got the guy from Jersey and Jimmie Rivera, then we got the guy from New York and Aljamain Sterling. I mean, what are we doing over here? Speaking of Sterling, he's coming in as the underdog at a +125. He is 16-3 in his professional career, coming off of 2 wins in a row, also losing to Marlon Moraes, so that is their kryptonite, both of them, I guess. He lost to him back in 2017. I think a big advantage for Aljamain Sterling will be on the mat. If and when he gets Jimmie Rivera on the mat, you have to watch out for his jiu-jitsu because it's definitely coming along. Jimmie Rivera does have some fantastic takedown defense. So if Sterling is going to try to take it there, if he feels that it's not really working for him on the feet and he tries to take him down, he's got to be successful with these takedowns if he has a shot. So I think if Al can close the distance and take him down, he has a huge advantage as far as winning by submission. So with that being said, I'm taking Aljamain Sterling. I think he's going to win by submission, and that'll cost me $100 to possibly make $125. All right, so this is my third fight, also the co-main event. At 155 pounds, we have James Vick taking on Paul Felder. James Vick is the slight favorite at a -120. He is 13-2 in his professional career, coming off of a loss to Justin Gaethje back in August. As of late, he's been a fierce striker. Back in the day, he was pretty much an all-around. He has a couple submissions in there, but he's been knocking dudes out, seriously. As a matter of fact, knocking out 2 of his last 4 opponents, and for Vick, that's pretty good. One major advantage, if this does stay on the feet, and even if nobody gets knocked out or dropped or anything, is his 6-inch reach advantage over Paul Felder, which is fantastic for him. Also, like I was saying, with the submissions, he does have a slight advantage on the mat. So if it does go to the mat, I think Paul Felder just really needs to hold on for the ride or show people his jiu-jitsu game. Speaking of Paul Felder, he is the slight underdog at a -110. He is 15-4 in his professional career, coming off of a loss to Mike Perry back in July of last year. Phenomenal Muay Thai, ridiculous elbows, power strikes. He's when it comes to standing, he's got it all except for that 6-inch reach disadvantage that he's going to be stepping in to the octagon with Mike Vick. I also feel, again, that he has a disadvantage on the mat, so if he can avoid going to the ground, I think that is the best option for Paul Felder. I think Paul Felder's power is going to overwhelm James Vick. And again, Paul Felder is such a great Muay Thai practitioner with those elbows, and then even with those knees, if James Vick does decide to shoot in, he may have another thing coming. So on this one, I'm going to take the Irish Dragon. I think Paul Felder is going to win by TKO, and I'm going to risk 110 to make 100. Okay, so this is my last pick. This is the main event. This is heavyweights going at it. Francis Ngannou versus Cain Velasquez. Ngannou's coming in as the underdog at a +135. He is 12-3 in his professional career, coming off of a win against Curtis Blades back in November of last year. He's a heavy hitter. Of course, I don't really have to say too much about Francis Ngannou. You can just take a look at his picture. He was another guy that was on a serious roll until, unfortunately, he lost to Stipe Miocic. And then right after that, he had that shit show of a fight with Derek Lewis. If you guys remember that one, that was awful. Really put a bad taste in people's mouth about Ngannou. But like I said, he came back, knocked out Curtis Blades. Another advantage, if this does stay on the feet, is that he also has a 6-inch reach advantage over Velasquez, which is insane. So very curious to see. Say what you want about that Derek Lewis fight. I think his head's together. I think he's focused, and I really think that he wants to win this fight. Another guy that has been running and gunning throughout his whole career, Cain Velasquez, coming in as the favorite at a -165. He is 14-2 in his professional career, coming off of a huge layoff. He has not fought since July of 2016. At least the one good thing about that is it is coming off of a win against Travis Brown. Cain, just like Ngannou, is a boxer by trade, a heavy hitter, can put the lights out in 2 seconds, and these guys are pretty evenly matched. But if there is any strong advantage, I would say Cain Velasquez in his wrestling. His takedowns are pretty damn good, and if Ngannou cannot hold those off, it could mean trouble for him. So this was a tough one. I was back and forth. Of course, the layoff and the age, and even though Cain was one of the best, if not the best, in the heavyweight division of all time, I don't know if that flame, I do not know if that fire is still going to be there come Saturday night. So I'm going to take the fresher guy, the younger guy. I feel that he's gotten his mind right. He's hungrier. I'm going to take Francis Ngannou. I think he's going to win by TKO. And I'm going to take him $100 to make $135. So as far as props go, I have no over and under. I'm not going to pick the win or lose as far as putting them on my bet slip. But I do have a parlay, and they're both dogs. So hopefully if they win, it's going to work out fantastic for me. I really like Aljamain Sterling. And even though I was back and forth on this one, I decided to also put Francis Ngannou on a 2-fighter parlay. So it would be $100 to win $430. So if you add everything up, including that parlay, my total risk is going to be $470, and my total potential gain is going to be 890. All right, so that's going to do it. Those are my picks. I hope you enjoy the show. Stay tuned. I think the beginning of next month, I should have everything together. My new equipment. I'm going to start vlogging. And I hope you guys will enjoy that too. So that's all I got. If you haven't already, please subscribe, share, comment, and of course, like this video if you enjoyed it or found it useful. And until next time, as always, Rant and Rich here, signing out from sunny SoCal. I'm out of here. Laters.